Welcome back to the LEC as G2 take down SK Gaming, and I had to talk to the man in the bot lane, BrokenBlade. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview. You know what I'm going to talk about, this disgusting Akali build we've been seeing around for the past few days. We knew it was the pick that was coming in the LEC, but please talk me through the champion, the Chemtech build, why is it so strong, and how can you play against this kind of build and champion?
I think it's something very new, like very recent, that people just found out. It's so strong because you're like so tanky and you still deal a lot of damage, which makes your champion basically just overpowered. And I think there's not much you can do, honestly, if I'm completely honest. I think there's some answers that obviously I can't say right now, but I think it's definitely a very strong champion.
Quick words about the matchup against Lee Sin in that sense. I know you can't say much about the matchup itself because you want to keep your secrets, which is normal. But yeah, matchup against Lee Sin, how you play around it, and why it wasn't able to do something this game.
Actually, it's very nice coincidence. I actually played Lee Sin today into Akali in solo queue, and I did get shit on as well against Akali. So I was very confident going into this matchup, and I did solo kill him as well, which was kind of nice.
Wow.
I think he messed up his recall there. Yeah, I was just very confident in solo queue. I've been doing very well with it, so.
Well, it's a bit overwhelming when you see an assassin getting played as a tank, but the meta is what it is. And I want to say, with this new meta, also came a new BrokenBlade with G2 with a revamped champion pool. You got the player of the game today, and I want to talk about your role within G2 because you played the Action last week, you played the Corki. It didn't go so well, but still, efforts for trying. But yeah, tell me more about your role within this new G2 lineup, and how did you see yourself evolving as a player throughout the year?
Honestly, it's just been so nice to be part of G2. I think I have a really big role actually in the team because I think our bot lane obviously is the newer players, and I think me and also Carzzy and Jankos, we need to step up as a whole team, and not only myself. I think I'm just trying to really find my footing in the team. I think Jankos is more of a leader in our team, and I think I'm kind of his pillar, if that makes sense, in the team. I've been really getting along well with everyone on the team so far, and it's been a really, really great journey, even though we had some issues last week due to some sickness, right? So I'm really proud of my team for showing so much like resilience and going through these matches and getting 3 wins.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I actually wanted to comment on that because your management has been very vocal about the issues you had, the fact that the team was sick. Well, first off, I hope you guys are feeling better and recovering quickly. And second, how do you think it has impacted the prep for the first week, but also the scrims you've been playing together?
I mean, it was a really, really big shock because the very last day we practiced, we noticed that we are positive, right? So we had to instantly go into our rooms, not show, not be with anyone else, just stay in our rooms, do drafting in our rooms, not be in person. So we were kind of scared that things may go bad, but obviously we pulled through, we showed resilience, and it went very well. And thanks to our amazing staff, Romain did an amazing job of keeping us all together, true hero. And I'm very grateful that we pulled it off.
Yeah, it's a team effort, and it shows, right, with the scoreline you have so far in the LEC. BrokenBlade, I don't want to take too much of your time. We'll see you tomorrow for the match of the week versus Vitality. Thank you so much for the interview, and again, a quick recovery to the whole G2 lineup. But we are not done on this side of the stage, and back to you, Trevor, for the next game.
Thank you so much, Laure, and a fantastic interview with BrokenBlade, being resilient in the challenges we face at the moment. It did allow G2 to pick up some wins, and really, really heartfelt best wishes, get well soon to everybody. Now, our next match features the currently winless Team Vitality, one of the huge surprises after Super Week, as well as our newest addition to the LEC Team BDS. Let's start with the fact that Vitality absolutely failed to meet expectations. It's a bit of a theme for today, but just how badly did they fail to meet them is the question.
It depends, because I think there were some fans out there that were convinced it would just be another super team that does what super teams do and fail immediately. But for me, yeah, they definitely disappointed. With the caliber of players, with the experience that this roster does have, I expected more. Instead, I felt like we saw stronger individuals that couldn't really function as a team. And as a result of that, they were punished by the teams in Europe in week 1.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think Perkz in particular, somebody that I was hoping to see a little bit more from. His game 1 performance on Akshan left something to be desired, somewhat reminiscent of his week 1 spring performance last year. I mean, when we look at some of these players, Trouble, and we look at the potential that they do have, where do you draw some conclusions as to what caused them to go 0-3?
Okay, so I feel like when we have a lot of huge personalities into one team, which is why we call them super team, right? They have really great skill, but they're also big personalities. Sometimes they might clash in game, the ideas, who has the higher voice, because we have Perkz that has been great in leading teams, right? He was a leader in G2, but now we also have Selfmade, who typically in every team that Selfmade has been a part of, he has been the main voice of. So maybe somewhere there, they need to find the strong voice that they want to lead the team. That could be something that we might have to look into.
I mean, I also think that whenever you're building a new team, like, this is something that I've spoken with on cast as analyst coaches about in the past. Sometimes when things are new, regardless of how good they are, you need to just keep it simple. And the reality is that I think there was some like ego picks that came out from Vitality. And when you kind of looked at their drafting, I'm drafting to counter what you're playing, which, like, sure, that makes sense. I understand what you're doing in the isolated situation, but in the context of the team, in the context of the comps, you actually drafted yourself quite difficult to play compositions. And when synergy is something that you're still growing, when you're still figuring out exactly, as Trouble was saying, who that leader is, where that voice comes from, maybe you just keep it simple. Put Alphari on an Ornn, you know? Give yourself the Victor in the mid lane, or the Orianna, both of which Perkz is very capable of playing. Like, maybe they just need to go back to the drawing board, keep things simple, and in a meta that is very scaling and where you can rely on your individual talent, perhaps just keeping things simple is the way forward for Vitality while they build as a team.
Let's see if they can, because I think last week Selfmade was one of the players that definitely impressed. The reason I'd single him out is his opponent today, Cinkrof, really showed promising things during the course of week 1. Vedius, I distinctly remember you being very happy with some of the decision-making he had in game.
I was just really impressed with his map awareness, where he needed to be, how he should be playing, and what he should be doing on the map. And like this game against Fnatic in particular, I was just very pleasantly surprised by what he was doing. And Trouble, we were talking about it before, he seems to show semblance of what he was doing on K-Corp, but now almost maybe even at a higher level from what we've been seeing.
Absolutely. He's also very used to playing with Adam towards the top lane, and Adam has been someone that Cinkrof has loved playing around. This is why we see a lot of shift onto BDS towards the top side of the map as well. But going back to Cinkrof, Cinkrof has never been the selfish jungler that we see in the likes of Selfmade sometimes, or Zlatan. He has been the facilitator for his team. Wherever the team needs him, wherever the team calls for him, he actually goes. This is why we see a lot of the same plays from BDS as well, where they group towards the top side, they take it over, then they go towards the bot side as 4 members. And this is something that they also used to do back in Kamekov, that snowball one lane, and then they use Cinkrof in that lane to snowball another one.
Do you think it's fair to say win lane, potentially win game here today, or is that too bold a statement?
Well, I think that BDS ultimately is a rookie team by and large, and we heard from Grabs on Twitter that this team needs to learn a lot of the basics, and they still need like a lot of growing things. I think there's a lot of potential though, and for BDS, we say that a lot, admittedly, but this is 3/5 of the Carmine Corp that won back-to-back EU Masters. So I'm very excited for this potential roster, and I think with the addition of NUCLEARINT mid as well, his week 1, I'm excited to see what Grabs and the coaching staff can do.
I'm so glad you mentioned Grabs, because of course, Team BDS versus Team Vitality is also a battle between Perkz and his former coach, Grabs. They spent 2 years together in G2, winning MSI, 4 LEC titles. Let's see who stands victorious today.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. We will see who stands victorious. They may sit victorious as well. We're not going to dictate to them whether or not they must be standing up or sitting down. But like it's been the pandemic for 2 years. Like often I sit victorious instead of standing victorious.
I think with the pandemic, I've been sitting victoriously mostly. Not
exactly.
Like
right?
I've not had too
I don't
many
want to
victories
force someone into
to
stand victorious.
Yeah, standing desk is really good for your posture.
It is very good for your posture and really good for your core muscles as well. But that's enough about that. Let's get into BDS versus Vitality. we heard Vedius praising the KISS method of drafting earlier on. Keep it simple, stupid. It's a very easy way to deal with a lot of problems. You say, instead of going for these complicated team comps, we press R, we go in, we win the fight. And obviously, Vitality have the players to do that. How do you think they can draft, or how do you think they will draft here to make that happen?
I mean, I think you just need to stop with the ego picks that Vedius was also explaining. Sometimes they just came out of nowhere, where, especially now being red side, I think you're allowing your solo laner to get some very good grounding in this game, because I think this game will be solo lane based a lot. I think getting Alphari ahead, especially against Adam, is not only playing to your win condition at Vitality, but is also trying to shut down the win condition rather, on the side of Team BDS.
You can see Vitality deciding to get rid of the Akali as well, take something out of the hands of Adam that can be incredibly strong.
And right now, there's still the Lee Sin up and available. We still have the Thresh as well. We know both Limit and Labrov happy about those champions, and you can clearly see BDS still paying some respect to Selfmade as well with this talent ban to come out. And I think it's no surprise that we've seen the Akali ban after seeing her presence here in the first 2 games. It is a very busted champion with the build at the moment. Last ban to come through, Diana, also a champion that's up and available. Perkz and the rest of Alphari already had to deal with that one time today when they came in, but it looks like it's just going to be Zhao as a first pick.
Yeah, Diana not banned away. As you say, Renekton was removed by Vitality. Jhin immediately locked in. Now expectations are you see the Jinx Jhin trade here. Do Vitality want to put Carzzy on Jhin, or would they prefer taking the Jinx for themselves and leaving up that Jhin-Zhao combination?
Something Vitality has been liking to do as well is having some Viego priority. We did see Selfmade on a champion like Kiana as well that he's shone on pretty nicely, but it's going to be an early pickup of the Corki. So not only 1 AD carry medic, but 2 AD carries.
Take yourself the Corki. Of course, Corki a poke mage with the current build, but can still go that Immortal Shield Bow crit build that we've seen a few times scattered here and there. And a flex pick, which is something I wasn't expecting to say a couple of weeks ago in the LEC, but it does give Alphari the option of taking this Corki into the top lane, depending on how Team BDS draft these next few picks.
Yeah, so usually from BDS, we see them save their top side of the map for later, but this time around, they want to go for that top side for Adam immediately with the Gwen securing that one for themselves. That also means that your bot lane will be suffering a little bit moving into this next ban phase, because you can only pick your AD carry or support here, and there are still a lot of power picks up for you to take away. There's the Thresh, not only because it's good with other immobile AD carries, but also because it's a takeaway from the pairing that you can go with the Jinx on the side of Vitality at the moment. So BDS, they're taking their time, but they want to go with comfort. We've already seen NUCLEARINT play this champion 2 times, but it is going to be the Syndra in the mid lane, which is actually a really good pickup against champions that want to run at you. There's a quick response from the side of Vitality as well.
Immediately, they're going to lock in the Olaf. So jungle and mid lane probably secured here for Vitality alongside that AD carry. Syndra, of course, very good at keeping people at bay, at a distance, but
definitely
not so good against an Olaf who can just run straight through your orbs. It's pretty difficult to keep that rampaging Viking away from you. Yuumi banned away makes sense. Yuumi, especially with Gwen and Jhin, is just so powerful because of how much she buffs them up and increases the assassination potential of a mage in the mid lane as well. And now BDS. The question is, do you look towards support bans? Do you look towards mid lane bans, expecting this Corki to be top?
So I think you want to go for the top lane bans here, just due to the fact that they are most likely going to be fourth picking their top laner here themselves. They already know you're playing the Gwen. So you can take away some of the harder matchups from the side of Adam on this Gwen, and then just wait for the support pool anyway, because you're forced to blind pick either way. And I'm finding it on the side of a BDS that they want to play a more neutralizing bot lane anyway, or a bot lane that scales as well. So with Ophelia still being a champion that's up and available, you can still match this carry potential in the Jinx if that's what you like. Jhin, also a champion that's available. So I feel like there's still a lot of options from the side of BDS to round out their bot lane composition. What I'm really looking at right now is Vitality. What do they want to give Alphari into the matchup against the Gwen?
I mean, I'm also wondering if they just want to go support here. You can pick up Thresh. Thresh Jinx is a very strong bot lane combination, and then you have that possible Corki top still for a counter pick to end it up. There's the Thresh for Vitality. Team BDS now. What do you think? So here's the thing, right? This is one of those earworms that you have as a caster where you've seen the Corki and you're like, they picked it really early. This could be a flex. It's possible. Vitality backstage, like, no, this Corki's going mid lane. It's never been discussed top lane. We're just talking about this possible flex pick as this proverbial goose egg.
If anything, we're just providing the different options that could come out. They may not be doing it. G2 did it. We're just painting a painting for you guys.
It's what could be going through the Team BDS. You know, going through Grabs' mind. He's like,
exactly.
I've drafted this poorly in the past. Is Vitality doing it as well? Of course, that's just a joke. Vitality's draft looking relatively well-rounded as of yet. There's the Jhin picked up for Team BDS. Support next. Wonder where Limit will decide to go. Usually best on engaged supports, and Nautilus will fit that bill.
It's actually quite interesting right now, because if we came into this game beforehand, before I saw the draft, I would probably have told you that Vitality is going to play around Alphari and try and see if they can get him ahead. But having this composition right now where you have 2 AD carries to play for, you have a Thresh down towards the bottom lane, it honestly would not surprise me to see him take a more neutral approach up to that top side, and GP being up and available is just going to be the response there. So for the side of Vitality right now, yes, you have 2 melee champions, but none of them are considered strong frontliners. So it's definitely going to come down to the pick potential as well that you also see and how you kite back. But obviously there's the ground to play around with. You have the Corki rockets, you have the barrels on the GP. Definitely tools that will become important Vitality.
It doesn't feel like a simple comp from Vitality though. 2 AD carries.
It was so close to being a simple comp.
Yeah. If it had been an all-in final pick, I could see how it would have been more simple. But once again, Vitality relying on their own prowess, their own mechanics to carry them through this game. BDS, on the other hand, seem to be a much more simplistic comp. You have a good frontline in the Zhin Nautilus. You have a strong-ish AD carry in the Jhin, and then you've got Gwen, who can just run through the enemy team.
Yeah, they still have the ground to play around with themselves, the Syndra, so on as well, the power to create, would you say, grounded pockets to kind of fight in between where you're just pushing the enemy away, and obviously the front line, we saw them, they're not that beefy. Objective control, I mean, we say it all the time, but it's just so important for this meta right now, and I'm sure it's going to be important in this game as well.
Definitely is. Vitality up against BDS. Both teams trying to get off the bottom of the table. Vitality yet to get a win. Let's see if they can do it here. The announcer says it best. Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
I think you would say it better if we had an announcer pack.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Okay, I take it back.
Yeah.
You could have done that way better.
So you've been learning from Vedius in the school of mock medic humor.
It's not mock, it's more, you know you're going to get honesty from me, buddy.
That's true.
So,
That
I
is
mean,
true.
I'm here to tell you how it is.
I'll work on it. If they ever bring back announcer packs, I'll work on it just for you, Guldborg.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much.
So coming into this game, I want to talk a little bit about ERLs. And I know this is your wheelhouse, and I'm going to let you speak. I'm going to let you speak about it, Guldborg. I know you're going to be very happy, because something we've noticed is xMatty. And xMatty, in the LEC, hasn't been playing what we traditionally know him for.
That's the thing, because the xMatty I was so used to seeing in the ERLs had his signature picks where we always just knew him as the AD carry who'd absorb the pressure in the early laning phase, then would move on towards the mid to late game where he would be a team fight menace. And he would do it on the champions like the Ezreal, like the Jinx, Varus, and Aphelios. But in this BDS roster so far, he's just been so facilitating. I have not seen the pressure come out from him.
And he's been struggling because of it. A lot of people looked at him as a key weakness for BDS in week 1. You can see here, low damage a minute. Miles behind in the laning phase, 17 CS at 14 minutes, and at a gold deficit generally as well.
Well, the thing is with xMatty, and especially in the ERLs and at European Masters, because remember, he is a back-to-back champion of that tournament, is that he would always have a little bit of bad stats, but that was because he did not get a lot of resources. That was the beauty of xMatty in the ERLs, was the fact that even with low numbers in the laning phase, he could still pull off wonders in a team fight later. But obviously this team, despite having 3 former teammates together, is still fairly young.
Good dodge on the hook, counter hook coming out. Glacial Augment's going to do quite a lot of work here. Labrov is able to heal up with his pot and a Time Warp Tonic, I believe, in his secondary tree there for that little bit of extra burst HP.
It's a thing that, you know, has become really popular among supports, and it comes down to the fact that 2v2 is so much more volatile now that there's no TP to come through from any of the top laners. So having that immediate tick of an HP bot in a team fight, or in a 2v2 fight rather, down towards the bot side, can be the difference maker. So if you're looking to try out some new finicky 2v2 strat yourself, try Time Warp Tonic.
I mean, if you want my tips on how to play bot lane, Rakan He is a champion. It's very easy to win on. Because if I can do it, anyone can. Let's be honest here, Guldborg.
I mean, I think you've been doing a phenomenal job so far from what I've seen, so don't undersell yourself like that. But surely something you can go for. Now, taking a look at the bot side, it is looking like we're having a stacked wave from the side of Vitality, but no junglers are near this area, so stacking probably not to come through. If anything, they could go for an early recall, try and see if they want to push Labrov out on the map. But no, it seems like just going for that early recall, trying to get Carzzy a little bit of an advantage, while the rest of BDS here, Cinkrof, Nuclear, looking for Selfmade at the red buff.
Selfmade's going to ghost away. Of course, no flash on him. Stunned against the wall with the Scatter the Weak. Force of Will would do a little bit more damage. I'm a little confused about buffs. Because Selfmade has a single blue, and Cinkrof has a single red. Cinkrof's going to dive in here. Smite comes out from Selfmade, but you don't have flash. He's trying to trade back onto him. Thundering blow, just short. Wind becomes lightning across the wall. Cinkrof finds Selfmade. Flashes the Fnatic. Alphari's coming in from the side here as well. No flash.
But here comes the rest of the vultures.
Yeah, Labrov's
ready
on
for
his
the scraps.
way. Cinkrof.
Oh no.
Oh no. Perkz. He wants that double. Give it to Perkz. Give it to him. He takes it. And Vitality will answer back with a kill of their own.
So yeah, you can say that's kind of worth it. He got the red buff from the side of Selfmade, didn't steal away the Crocs, got first blood for himself, but telling your mid laner, yeah, sorry bro, you're gonna have to lane against double buff now. I mean, that does not feel good. That does not feel good, but Cinkrof realizing that you do not win the extended trade, super nicely done, then following up with a wind becomes lightning, because if he does not pick up this kill, then Alphari will just take care of him. So once he's set A, he's got his A, B. And here comes the rest of them just looking for him. There is potentially a little window where you could try and find the blast cone, but in the end, I mean, you're just caught on the wrong side of the map.
Very tricky to get out of that situation, and because of it, as you say, Perkz has the doubles in the mid lane. Very handy to have, especially on something like a Corki that will want to wrestle out those spells. You can see NUCLEARINT already out of mana. Perkz TPing back in with a tier, a no magic mantle, and a long sword to just clear out this wave immediately. But NUCLEARINT can back and answer with a teleport of his own, as long as Perkz doesn't hit 6 off this wave, which I don't believe he will. NUCLEARINT has a fine base position.
It's a thing we've seen from a lot of Corkis as well, especially into the control main matchup, which is of course where you have to go for the Hex Stringer. You are just a really squishy champion in the early game, and despite popular belief, you can actually get punished. We just don't see it that often when we see the Corkis. They are allowed to scale for free quite often.
Scatter the Weak will land there. NUCLEARINT hits 6. Actually should trade aggressively here onto Perkz, who gets 6 of his own. Cinkrof splitting the map with Selfmade, who is down towards the bottom side right now. She might be doing the Cloud Drake himself. Started it up with that Undertow, and Selfmade. Olaf, one of the junglers that is very good at taking these early dragons. Now Perkz still has flash. Will flash away from the Scatter the Weak. Assume he must have just used Valkyrie, or didn't think he could get Valkyrie off in time to dodge away that stun.
Really nicely done. You can see Cinkrof stacking up his Q on the minions. It looked a bit random because he was just hitting them, but he was actually waiting to get that first strike and then jump on Perkz immediately for the instant knock-up. So Perkz flashing there, actually a really good decision.
Smart stuff by him, and he did have a disappointing week 1, to say the least, did our most decorated player in the LEC, the Western Goat. Well, he was Western Mutton last week, it seems. 10th in KDA, 10th in kill participation, 10th in damage per minute as the Vitality mid laner, but off to a strong early start here on this Corki.
I mean, maybe Perkz should apply for Astralis the way this is going right now, but obviously, I don't think Perkz is not still a good player. I think he's had a little bit of a rough start to the season, where we've also talked about the ego picks a little bit, and I think that is something that has plagued Vitality. I think they have disrespected their opponents, not only in draft, but also in terms of playstyle. So as we move on towards week 4, week 5, later into the split, that's where we really want to see these teams come together. That's where we can no longer give them the benefit of the doubt of saying, oh, you know, it's early in the season. Yeah. So it's definitely about finding their footing as a team.
And as much as I entirely agree with you, like, find your footing, get to a position where you're comfortable, start winning games. We're already a 1/6 of the way through the split, Gul. And I
hate when you remind me of that, because that's a stats that's true, but I refuse to believe it.
We played 3 games, we're 1/6 of the way through. After this, they'll have played 4, they'll almost be a 1/4 of the way through the split. And, you know, if you're not picking up wins by this point, especially against teams like BDS, who Vitality coming into the season would have been seen as clear favorites against, it becomes a trickier road. And as much as maybe you will make playoffs, maybe you get 5th, 6th, and then you only have one chance. You don't have double elimination. Maybe you get 4th and you play up against the best team, and then you're immediately down in the lower bracket. Of course, that is where Perkz thrives, in his 1-2 comfort zone, but you do need to start showing us some signs of consistency.
I completely agree with you. And speaking of Perkz, he has just picked up the package, I believe, in time for the first Rift Herald here, but no one's around the area right now. He can try and jump in, but it's already too late. Cinkrof finding a really good timer for the Rift Herald, while the members of Vitality was off a reset timer, even allowing the rest of his teammates to reset. So they're not really losing anything. They're not overstaying their welcome on the map to try and get this objective. So it's going to be curious to see where they want to deploy this Rift Herald. I think mostly we're looking for the solo lanes. We don't usually see people try and funnel a Jhin.
Yeah, it's not really the smartest thing. It doesn't give you a huge amount of DPS in the later game fights. And xMatty has been left on a little bit of an island down towards this bottom side, but Cinkrof is on his way down there, maybe just going for his Krugs, the only camp that's up, package coming out.
It's coming.
Now, I do wonder if Perkz was there trying to bait a little bit for Labrov. Use the package, NUCLEARINT then oversteps Labrov, puts the lantern down, flash away from NUCLEARINT, the hook won't even be used by Labrov. He got the flash, that's all he wanted.
Yeah, Labrov decided to go for the safe option where you just walk up and go for the play first, then see if the flash comes out, then you can look for the hook, but obviously, there were the potential for the highlight montage of a MatLife himself. Vitality members were talking a bit that they warm up by watching their own montages. Labrov was in the unfortunate situation where no one has made a montage of him just yet.
I did love what Carzzy said in that clip. It like,
you can just watch my montage.
It's fine. I do also wonder if Perkz had been watching his Renekton play from the LCS last week.
The Yone.
Or the Yone, yeah, kind of fitting with his performance. But so far, this game, only 1-1 at the 10-minute mark. That doesn't mean there hasn't been action, just means there haven't been kills. First Dragon secured for Vitality. Undertow just connects. The Ghost coming out. Cinkrof, yeah, doesn't even have time to get in here. Unleashed Power does nothing to Perkz. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Alphari's getting forced away. Adam has used the Ignite, and Alphari has Flash, so he should be able to escape. Lantern, Labrov, Flash, onto the Blast Cone. Limit flashes away himself. Undertow won't clip his heels. He's able to walk out of that one.
I mean, I like the in-play from the side of Labrov, but it's just a bit too ambitious there. You don't catch him. You already forced a flash.
It's because he missed his MatLife moment a moment ago.
Exactly,
it's like, this
he
one
had to go for a new highlight. Okay, let's see if it's here.
xMatty stands still, gets hook pulled back onto the jumpers. And xMatty is down. Carzzy with a great predict on the Super Mega Death Rocket.
See, Labrov, that's why you don't have a montage, but Carzzy got it ready for you just afterwards. xMatty disrespecting a little bit, not looking for the flash, thought he could just sidestep it. Labrov got his number, gets the kill for himself.
As you say, Carzzy getting that kill in that bottom lane is in a very strong position on the Jinx now. Rift Herald expect to be used here by Cinkrof. Instead, they just want to shove the lane in. Cinkrof does still have about a third of the timer on that, so can use it to get this quick recall off, but Vitality now 2,000 gold ahead from that sequence of events. Couple of kills, 3 plates in the bottom lane to Carzzy. It's a very strong position for Team Vitality.
It does give you some options to punish now for the late resets that's coming through from the side of Vitality. You can see because they decided to stay for those 3 platings, there's no one around for this Drake area. Selfmade up towards the top side, Perkz still in the mid lane, but it doesn't look like BDS, they want to fancy any chances of starting up that Drake for themselves. So with resets now coming through, oh, looks close from limit. Either way, mid waves will just be cleared, and you can see BDS, they're walking into the river now.
I'm not sure if Vitality wanted to fight this one anyway. Alphari TP'd up to the top side. Now he does have Cannon Barrage, so he can influence the play from top lane, and Adam has a TP of his own, so maybe Vitality will look just to chip away at BDS if they go for this Dragon, but expectation, at least to me, is that Vitality don't really want to fight for the second Drake.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they need it either, but I mean, we are looking at Carzzy. He's picked up a very early Kraken Slayer as well, so if you start skirmishes around this AD carry, statistically, you should win them. As BDS, they just force up the Rift Herald here in the mid lane, get that instant priority. Not for any Drake. They don't fancy that themselves either. Too nervous about it, and because of this, you can see Selfmade has just back. You can see the gold. Just picked up a mythic item for himself, looking to just beeline it down to that Drake for themselves.
And once again, Alphari has himself a sizable CS lead in the top lane. 30 CS. I think he was about 800 gold ahead when we were looking at the gold just a moment ago as well. He is absolutely stomping Adam. It is only Adam's second time playing Gwen on the LEC stage, even though, of course, he had that full split with Fnatic last year. Don't even think he played it on Carmine Court before that, so not a champion we've seen too often from Adam, usually associated more with, you know, Olaf and Darius. But for the moment, it is Alphari coming out on top in that 1v1.
Now with this bot lane priority, you can see it's also allowing Labrov to roam around with Selfmade all the time. Flash is still not up for Nuclear, so while they're around this mid lane area, they have times to punish all the time. So while Perkz pushes in the mid lane, you can see NUCLEARINT, he's forced to still clear that wave before he can move. And this gives Vitality extra time to move down towards the bottom lane, not to necessarily go for a play, but to always have that in BDS mind. They have to respect Perkz once they cannot see him.
Just becomes so tricky for BDS. Didn't really find any early advantages. Cinkrof with the only kill for them so far. NUCLEARINT getting forced back by Perkz in the mid lane. Lantern going out once again. Selfmade here. That tower might be dead before they even look for the dive. Carzzy tanks up one tower shot. There's the cannon barrage. TP coming out as NUCLEARINT looks to join the fray. Good hook from Limit will keep Labrov underneath the tower, and the unleashed power will be enough to take down the Thresh.
Good response from the side of BDS rather here. Good TP to come in from NUCLEARINT to just completely discourage that dive. But Vitality, are they still looking for this one?
Ghost, Selfmade, undertow, onto Limit. Just wants to chase onto xMatty. Instead, Limit the first target. Selfmade, look at the darn healing! Selfmade's a monster!
2 versus 3, they just don't care, and they continue with the pressure here on Vitality. Great presence of mind from the side of Selfmade and Carzzy, knowing they can commit to that play. Absolutely huge for them, and let's have a look at the dive once again, because the setup is not bad. You have Cannon Barrage against an immobile AD carry, but it just seems like no one really gets around to layer the CC, and because of the minion wave not being big enough or being cleared out, they just get to turn onto Labrov, who's stuck on the tower with no flash whatsoever. As you can see in the picture-in-picture, Carzzy did just pick up the bot lane turret, and here we see it. Selfmade and Carzzy going forward. Just no one to stop Selfmade while he's in that Ragnarok. The damage is not there yet. NUCLEARINT, no mana, and it's just free for them.
Just nothing you can really do against that. Olaf runs at you. We talked about Syndra's power at knocking people away when they try and engage in the draft, but Olaf negates all of that. Can just sprint straight at you. It's a 4,000 gold lead now for Vitality at the 15-minute mark. A very strong early start for them, and perhaps those hiccups we saw in week 1 are starting to fade away for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I even think we saw some of that when they were playing against Fnatic. They were up with a 6k gold lead until they started to overextend a little bit. They also got out-team fought a little bit. But here in this game, we see no signs of that. We're looking at a Vitality that's not going for plays where you're like, all right, that was really just selfish of you and a bit too egotistical. But this time around, they're playing it a bit more calculated and getting to Jinx outside of the map here, especially from Carzzy, who I thought had an incredibly shaky week 1, has really come back to his old senses, and he's just dictating the pressure of the map, taking care of these outer turrets with no response right now from BDS. So just all-out victories on the map right now for Vitality.
Just hugely ahead. Perkz pushing forward here. Phosphorus Bomb just a little bit short, but the 2 missiles will be enough to force xMatty away. Alphari playing weak side, puts down a couple of barrels. Perkz, big one. Flash. If Perkz hadn't been on a ward there, xMatty, that's a lot invested to try and kill the enemy AD carry, but it forces him back at least, and Alphari survives on the other side of the map. Carzzy and Labrov pushing in. Adam stepping forward here. Hallowed miss. Gwen's immune. The needle work as Carzzy almost falls down. Ignite was ticking, but wasn't quite enough. And Carzzy, after engaging the fight, had to invest his flash to get away.
Yeah, guys, don't worry. Gwen, no Ignite now. We can reset. It's fine. Cinkrof looking for Selfmade. He does have that Ragnarok if he wants to deploy it. It's looking like they're just going to back out.
Yeah, Selfmade's fine, just getting away from this one. 1 minute on the Drake. Reset central for Vitality. You can see Carzzy going for the Phantom Dancer second here on the Jinx. Doesn't need the rapid fire cannon or the Runeans. Phantom just gives you, I believe, straight up more DPS in most of these fights in a lot of situations. So getting that will put him in a good position, and bounties have now started for BDS. Unsurprising, considering they're 5.4k behind, but we'll see if they're able to pick up any of that extra gold that now sits on the map. How do you think bounties work, by the way? We've got like 30 seconds.
Well, if you're behind,
right?
then you can get extra gold.
No, but do you think, like, in the mortar, there's some gold that they laced in there that you just get to pick up after a certain point in the game as Limit misses a hook? And Labrov does not. Flame Chomper's going down. BDS in a 4v2, although it was really Limit versus 2 for a while there. Have to invest their supports flash to get away, and this is Dragon. for Vitality. Everyone has to back away. Vitality in a good position to take their third Drake of the game.
Yeah, just like that, it just looks like they're going to be able to take control of not only the river, but also the red side of Team BDS. And you can see Vitality should just be able to go off this one. Hook doesn't connect this time around. I'm not sure to answer your question about the bounties, where they're coming from. I mean,
because like, do you think some of the bricks are made of gold? Do you think it magically apparates?
how is the economy actually functional here in
Exactly,
Runeterra?
because
Like, how does it work in Summoner's Rift? Who's paying you to kill these people?
Probably Boris. Let's be honest. Boris, he's a bloodthirsty man, and he wants all your money for those items as Labrov.
To clarify, Medic is talking about the shopkeeper.
Yes. Yes, sorry, I should have made that more clear. Not the English Prime Minister. Vitality, though, now total control over the map. Third dragon of the game goes to them. And BDS, really no way of answering this one. A big one connects from Perkz, and xMatty loses half his health and limit. Well, that's the second time he's died this game. Not really much you can do when you have no control over your own jungle. Vitality looking like the team we expected them to be coming into week one.
This time around, it's most certainly class. It's not only the fact that you take control of the dragon area, it's the fact you take control of the whole red side area, no longer acknowledging this area as BDS jungle. And that's how you really pressure a team when you finally get ahead. That's how you really effectivize your snowball, is that you just keep pressing forward. You keep taking away the jungle camps, so you exponentially grow this gold lead. Right now, Vitality, they're on a really good course. And one thing I wanted to talk about was this objective control in general for our teams we've seen so far. In week one, it seemed like it was a little thing that a lot of teams just completely forgot how to snowball these Drake. In general, we saw Matt Lions lose out on it as well. Finally seeing some really early Drake pickups is super nice to see, because it just allows you to finish out these games earlier.
Look at it, it's a soul at 23 minutes, right? It's such a fast position for Vitality to be in. Perkz as well, farming up a Storm in the mid lane. 234 CS before the 24-minute mark. Alphari as well, going over 10 CS a minute. Vitality, I almost said G2 because of Perkz. Vitality.
He's done this all day. I was
G2,
trying to
man.
explain the matchup to him today. He's like, yeah, it was G2 that played. No, Medic, it was Vitality.
Okay, look. He was there for a while.
Yeah,
As he said, he made that team. Give me a few weeks to get used to saying he's on Vitality.
Okay, you're going to get it. I'll give it to you.
Thank you,
I'll
Guldborg.
talk to you next week.
You
We'll
know,
see how
I'm a
fun.
small indie caster, and I can't make these changes quickly.
You know, that's fair. But, you know, old habits die hard.
Exactly.
That goes for everyone.
Exactly. Vitality here setting up around the Baron side of the map. Can just, after taking all of the red side jungle, they're like, well, what's next? We take all the blue side jungle.
And this,
steal away as many camps as possible.
the thing is, this situation is so dire for BDS, because even if you get the correct read on them, you get in with your own vision control beforehand, you just don't get anything out of it. Look at the items right now. Carzzy's still setting it at 2, making his way towards the third, as Limit goes in once again.
Hex Flash into the hook, and Limit's down. Double TP coming in from BDS as they look for a fight, but their tank is dead. And Cinkrof might be next as well. Carzzy, though, knocked back. Curtain Call hits 2. Cinkrof with a great engage here. Selfmade falls to the shutdown for xMatty. Alphari on the flank. Perkz is joined the fray. 3v3 now in the mid lane. As Perkz goes in with a package a little bit deep, a little bit dive there from Perkz. He will survive as NUCLEARINT has to walk away wounded.
But for once, a 2 for 2, that's great coming out from BDS here. That at least buys you some extra tribe on the map here where you don't lose all your resources. So despite them stealing away your jungle camps, you do pick up a little bit gold. And it's just so important, because your access to resources right now is so limited.
Yeah. Limited like this engage. Limit looking for Carzzy, couldn't quite find the pick, and instead ended up hooking Selfmade.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You find the hook, you get hooked once again. It seems like Labrov has just kept aiming at the opponent this time around, and then
This is really good.
it is super nice done from Cinkrof, finding a moment to insec with the Zhao ultimate going on towards it. Sinsec. From Cinkrof. To find that key pick. Obviously, it does get traded back. Perkz get a little overzealous here, but all in all, he will just Valkyrie out of there, and he is fine. 2 for 2 once again. But still, this doesn't get your way back into the game yet. You need better plays from the side of BDS, and you need more screw-ups from the side of Vitality. It's going to be difficult finding, because it is just not it's no longer in your hands. It's tough to say, but that is how this game has progressed.
Exactly, right? Vitality have just taken everything off the map, 7,000 gold ahead, and now they're starting up the Baron, and I don't know
Look at the
if
vision.
BDS will get there in time. No vision on it, as you say. Limit trying to step forward. So is Cinkrof, but that Baron is down to 2,000, and there's some flame chompers in the way that will gobble you up if you try and step forward. Limit gets the engage onto Perkz. They're looking for the shutdown. They'll find it. Once again, it is xMatty who finds the kill. Baron secured by Vitality. Can Adam step forward any further? You don't really have any CC left except for that hook. Limit, though, a single barrel takes half his HP. NUCLEARINT and Adam not in the best of shapes, not in the best of positions here. Adam able to dodge around the corner. NUCLEARINT will join his team. Perkz did fall, but Vitality took the Baron. Now they're at a man disadvantage, though, for this Dragon fight.
Yeah, 20 seconds till Perkz is up and alive. He does still have that teleport, and the members of BDS is fairly low, so they can't even equalize them having a man advantage right now, although they're going to try it. They're feeling desperate right now, and they may look for a fight out of nowhere.
Cinkrof, wind becomes lightning. Do you go in? Alphari caught with a stun. Oranges, flashes, gets out. Selfmade now running in with the ghost. He's having none of this. You don't fight his top laner without him there. Curtain Call comes out. Cinkrof fighting Alphari down towards the bottom side.
TP behind them as well.
TP behind them. Perkz coming in. Adam already down. Great scatter of the week from NUCLEARINT, but Carzzy's going to flash away from the damage. Perkz is building up to a big one, and we know what that means. Goodbye, Limit. You served us well. Flashes over the wall, but cannot escape the spells of Perkz.
And they were so desperate on the side of BDS. You gotta respect it. They had to look for some sort of play. There's no way they get a man advantage once again, and they knew themselves probably that that was a losing fight. But once again, that's the situation of the game state they're in right now. They have to go for these sorts of plays.
You're fighting against a 3-item Corki, a 3-item Jinx, a 2.5-item Gangplank, and you are 10,000 gold in the hole as BDS grabs against his former player Perkz, and very much coming out on top of Perkz this game. Vitality showing us just how methodical they can be with how they shut out this game. 3 turrets in a row, basically falling like dominoes in unison, in sync. Vitality take 3 tier 2s.
And then continue, they're just working with the jungle as well. Adam trying to find Perkz here, but my word, that damage from Perkz as well.
Yeah, Adam hasn't been in the league when Perkz has been on form. Welcome to what the Western Goat can do, my man. Adam on the losing end of that trade. xMatty, though, looking for a Gale Force. One more auto. xMatty will take it. xMatty's picked up 3 kills in the last 3 fights, and perhaps there's a tiny, tiny sliver of light, a sliver of hope for BDS, although only a fraction of one at that.
Resets. I mean, it's a good way to force Perk to reset as well. You know, he's overstaying his welcome on the map, trying to take the Crocs. The team is like, guys, we need to siege up. Nah, man, I'm taking the jungle camps right now. So, you know, once he respawns in this 20 seconds, you are good to go to start sieging up again. You are obviously have already talked about it, but he is going for this poke, Corki as well. So sieging up with these Baron-empowered minions is going to be really easy from the side of Vitality. BDS, they've tried to get out on the map. They've tried to use this downtime from Vitality to create some offensive vision for them, in this case, which is just their own jungle, but that's as far as they're allowed to step.
All I can imagine now is Mephisto, you know, Team Vitality's coach, ringing up Grabs, being like, hey, Grabs, if you kill Perkz here, check PayPal. I'm asking him to reset on the map more often. He wasn't resetting this time. Please force him to do it. That's what BDS have done for him. But Vitality now very strong, pushing forward as a 5-man team. Perkz is going to go down towards the bottom side. No TP available for him. I didn't see if he picked up the package. He's moving at a rate of knots, so I'm going to assume that he already has that package picked up. Can, of course, join any fight that might happen in the mid lane and the top lane pretty quickly. NUCLEARINT trying to clear out this wave. There we are. Package secured underneath Perkz, and what a package it is as he pushes in towards this bottom lane. Mid lane crashing at the same time. Synchronized waves is something we always like to see from our top teams in the LEC, and Vitality have done exactly that, and because of it, Adam had to answer down towards the bottom lane. Inhibitor tower falls in the mid lane. Perkz is going to get the next wave here just in time for Vitality to take the inhib, reset, push across. Package was used, and this is it. You have to feel. Selfmade runs onto the back line, 1v4. Selfmade just kills him, and he's still alive somehow. The lantern will not keep him alive for long enough. He will fall. But in the end, it's curtains for xMatty. It's curtains for BDS. All the shots tanked up. Carzzy opening up with the big guns as well. Forces xMatty and Cinkrof back onto the fountain, and here comes the dive. Flash away as Vitality waiting for the minions to push in, but Carzzy unwilling to wait any longer as he kills off his opposite man. First Nexus Tower will fall, and Vitality announce themselves on the LEC stage. Week 1 was but a blip, it seems, for the new super team. Vitality will absolutely demolish BDS.
I mean, they're not yet a super team, but at least a great pickup here for them with the first victory in the LEC, as you describe. And honestly, this was clean fashion. This was what we were expecting when we were announcing Vitality in the first week. This time around, the play was more respectable. We still see them come in with their, well, I don't want to call it cockiness, confident plays, I'd rather say. We see it a lot from Perkz, flashing over walls, diving in with package, which is something we still like to see in aggressive players. But it's a bit more fine-tuned now, and it's a bit more, it feels like a team finally.
It definitely does. Felt much more coordinated overall. Of course, commiserations to BDS, but really they never found an avenue into the game. They never found an approach to the game. And speaking of the game, some of your player of the games are sponsored by Kia's at LEC on Twitter. Selfmade, Carzzy, and Labrov are your options. They all played really well, I'll be honest. Like, everyone had a good game. I don't think there's anyone I could give it to, but Team Vitality finally get their first win of the LEC 2022 on the board. When we return, we'll hear from Perkz on their 1-3 start. Kaiser goes in, straight into a 1v3, forced away. There's the call of the Forge God coming out, and those Cavs can jump across the Cataclysm. Holy!
I believe Rogue is gonna get worse. I think in Split and on Summer were the two best players that Rogue had by far.
Results in so much trouble! Inspired with the blade of the Ruined King! Diego shuts down Misfits!
And yeah, I think that's a big loss for them.
Dominus pop Malfang gonna get chased down here, tries to turn it onto Dale, and Malfang actually just kills off Zanzava. Another kill comes out.
Yeah, I do feel like their engine is just like supporting jungle, so I feel like if you target them, that's kind of the way to shut them down.
And they now want to turn and burn, lead more from Elyoya, and again another combo. Perkz just gets instantly deleted.